So here we are at the Hoodoo Mine in central Idaho. This is a special mine for us because my wife and I, one of the first places we came when we first started dating, and it's a place I've never been able to really explore up until now. So it was found in 1930. It was worked intermittently up until the 1980s. It was mostly a silver lead mine. In the 1970s, there were quite a few people working out here. And if you look behind us, you can see the main pile, waste pile from the mill there, tailings. Over on this side, we have the admin building, which was used up until the early 1980s. It still has quite a bit of stuff in it: water heaters, sinks, stoves. There's a toilet in there, so they kind of just left it as is. The Hoodoo Mine is one of those mines that doesn't have a whole lot of records with it. It was looked at over the years by many mining companies, and it was always viewed as not practical to mine. So it's been sitting here, basically abandoned since the 1980s. The land was given back to the Forest Service, and it's considered a potential EPA Superfund site because of the toxicity of the tailings pile behind us. But it's a really interesting mine. It goes from 7,100 feet of elevation to 8,100 feet. There's adits all over the mines back up in there. So we're going to go explore some of them and get some pictures. So here we are at this cinder block structure that I've been told by a gentleman who actually was here when the mine was still operational was the admin offices and kind of like the shower cleanup area for the guys. We were walking around and we found this, an unopened can of dripless pipe joint compound. So there's still quite a few artifacts here. It's pretty cool to be able to see this stuff. So this is where kind of the office stuff was done. There's some sinks in there. There's still a toilet that's barricaded off. I guess people were trying to use it. There's a bunch of water heaters in there. There's some shower heads and a few other things. So here, you can look and see, there's like asphalt shingles, lighting still hanging off the ceiling. There's the toilet area. I'm not going to go back there. Looks like they had some sink space, some counter space to prepare stuff in. I was told also that they had a desk right there where they had a secretary of sorts. In here, we have water heaters. See if there's a date on this. Doesn't look like it. Another water heater. Looks like that remains of a mattress. Another mattress with a whole bunch of poop, animal poop. Toilets, showers. So it actually looks like elk have been in here in the wintertime. That's elk poop. So the human structures, when they're abandoned, they become havens for the animals. There's a bird nest right there, some bird nests up in here. And it's kind of cool, yet a little disgusting to look at. If we go around back here, you can see over that road. More bathrooms. Looks like a bunch of nests, bird nests in there, and then where the animals have hung out. So this is a really special place. It's still pretty well preserved. We go around back here. We can see what looks like the remains of an outhouse, and the back of the building. Anyway, the Hoodoo Mine is such an amazing place, and the fact that it's close to hot springs and that it's near an awesome resort area makes it worth saving because it could be a really good tourist attraction. It's a great place to learn about mid-20th century mining techniques, and the history here is really great, and we have a lot of information as far as the stories of the people who worked it. So that's why we're working to preserve this place. So behind us here, we have what looks like some sort of storage shed or something. It's really interesting. So they used some lumber and just built it into these trees here by nailing sheet metal to the trees and nailing pieces of lumber. Look right here, here's the door. And go inside and look. And who knows what they put in here. So one little shelf space, another kind of shelf space. But it's really cool to see how they improvised structures using the landscape around them. And even though it probably wasn't the best thing for the trees, it still gives us a good idea of what they had to work with given the materials and the locations that they were in. We come around over to this side, you can see how they just basically laid this sheet metal down like this, tacked it together, put some insulation on the inside, and there you go. So it could have been cold storage, who knows? I haven't seen any references to it on the couple diagrams that I have. So one of the other concerns that we have on a lot of these sites, especially the Hoodoo Mine, is the tailing piles from the mills. So this has been classified as an extremely toxic tailing pile. And we shouldn't walk across them, we shouldn't be on them, you definitely don't want to eat the dirt, snort it, which people have actually done trying to get high off of the various chemicals they used. It's better to just stay away from these things. I've been noticing as we've been down below that when the wind comes through here, it blows the dust off. And it gets into the air, it gets into the water. That amount's probably not a big deal if you're only out here every once in a while, but trying to stay off of them, unlike all the people that have made this trail right there, it's just a best practice. The EPA has wanted to get this place on the Superfund list and get it cleaned up for years, and there's just not enough money, not enough support for it. It's surprisingly political, the Superfund process and getting things cleaned up. But if you're out here at the Hoodoo Mine, it's totally okay to go up and around and see the old mill buildings and stuff. There's a trail that goes up. But the last thing you want to do is go up and spend a lot of time on that tailings pile. So here we are on top of the tailings that we filmed earlier. These are the tailing ponds that the concentrates from the mill ran into. If you come up here and look, you can actually see one of the pipes that they would flush that slurry of stuff. So all of this was what was left over after they milled the ore and subjected it to whatever process they were using to separate the minerals, the silver, the zinc, everything they were mining out here, the lead, from the host rock. So all of this is the leftover. There isn't any silver, or zinc, or lead, or anything in this. This is all the host rock and things like cyanide, arsenic, mercury. They're exceptionally toxic, as you can tell. Nothing grows out there. And this would have been full of water at one point. All of these would have been. The concentrates came from this area right here. And up until a few years ago, the building was actually partially standing here. And this was the mill. So you can actually see there's a portal to a shaft right there at the bottom of it, which has been blocked up, but it's still open back there a little ways as far as we can tell. The rest of this is all remnants of the mill itself. You can see they just dumped all sorts of trash here. There's an old refrigerator, barrels, cables, sheet metal. Over here we found some gloves, some rubber gloves from when they were working the mill. They also came up with an ingenious solution to strengthen the concrete that they were using. So if you look at this, they used the drills they were using to mine as some sort of pseudo rebar to strengthen the concrete, as you can see there. And you can see they used some of the old ore cart tracks as well. So we talk about recycling all the time. We never think of miners as being particularly careful when it came to recycling materials. However, it seems like they did a good job. There's nails in it as well. So that's pretty cool to see. We're going to go up here and take a look. So we made our way up to the second-ish level of the mill from above the tailing ponds. And we can see a little bit more the damage that the fire caused here. There's a boot right there that looks like it got charred up. A whole bunch of fittings and different pipes and so forth. What's really interesting is not only can we see the charred logs, but we can see where the fire charred the concrete as well here for the footings for the mill. I wish that I would have got some pictures and videos of this place when the buildings were still standing. They were up 5 years ago when we were here, and I just didn't do it. I do have some pictures from the 90s, so I'll insert them in the video so you can get a reference of what this looked like before this happened. But you can just see the the amount of debris that's left, and this is what they left. This doesn't include what they've carted off. And unless some serious money is found to clean this up, this site's just going to stay like this. And it's really probably too toxic to dig around in and to do a whole lot of stuff in. So this stuff will just sit here in this absolutely spectacular surroundings. So we made it all the way to the top, to one of the main tunnels on the Hoodoo Mine property. It's actually right there behind us. Doesn't look like much now. The whole hillside is collapsed down on, but if you look closely, you can still see the portal with the timbering and all the supports around it. There's the grate. It has hinges, and it also has a lock buried down underneath the water that's coming out of the shaft. If you look, you can follow it roughly all the way over there where we have ore cart tracks that they would run the carts down on, and down to the mill site we filmed earlier. Such an amazing site. So much of it is still relatively well preserved. So we're back down here on the main mill site after going up and exploring the workings, one of the main shafts and tunnels on the Hoodoo Mine. It's amazing to think that they were able to get the ore out of the mountain up there, which is not an easy task. Bring it all the way down the carts over there, around the corner, dump it into this ore sorting bin here, which would then feed it in the various parts of the mill. So look at all of this equipment and these structures that they had to run this mill. I can't understand the work that would be involved to bring it all out here. Here we've got the supports for the various machinery they had, the bins and the crushers. Over there it looks like some sort of pump house or pump station because there are a couple pumps, a bunch of pipe. Here we have these two huge containers. I really don't know what they are. One of them might have been like, it has a pulley system on it, so it might have sorted the ore kind of like a concrete mixer. The other one was probably a container for water or some other liquids. There's some pipes. It's just amazing to think that when they ceased operations, they just left it all out here. So I want to thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Hoodoo Mine. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video on YouTube, check me out on Instagram at Western Mining Preservation. If you have any suggestions or there's anything you'd like to see, please let me know, and I will do my best to go out to those sites and document them or find any information that you might be curious to know. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.